Blog Talk Radio.
The minute you walked in the joint, I could see you were a man of distinction, a real big spender, good looking, so refined. Say, wouldn't you like to know what's going on in my mind?
Oh, good evening or good morning or whatever time you're listening to this, everybody. My name is Mandy Goodhandy, and I have my business partner also on the line. His name is Todd Klink.
Hello.
We're here to talk at you today. We're on every day, every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you want to tune in. Usually the last three episodes or so, it's been more people who have been listening to our archives than actually listening live. Isn't that right, Todd?
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, it's going to be one of these nights, eh, Todd?
What does that mean?
A quick answer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I'm sick, so I'm
Okay. Well, Todd is sick, so if you want to send him some medication, please feel free. But don't send him the kind of medication I do. I only do alcohol as medication. That's my medication. It just keeps me, being able to deal with people and deal with reality. It's all very exciting. So, Todd, I hope you're going to feel better. You get some rest and stuff. So, I will try and do my best to not put too much pressure on you then during the broadcast here. Todd and I are not in the same location, so.
No, we use phones.
No, we're using telephones, and we're in two different locations, so I can't make him any chicken soup or give him anything to make him feel better. Okay, for all those out there that think I should be doing that, if I was a good business partner and friend, I'd be looking after him.
Well, I had some chicken pho from the spring rolls downstairs, so.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's good. I've never had that.
A noodle soup.
Oh, nice. Okay, and a nice plug for spring rolls too. There you go.
Yeah, they're not too bad as landlords. You know.
Our millions of listeners get to or get to promote spring rolls downstairs. Spring rolls is downstairs from our nightclub. For those who are wondering, that's one of the spring rolls restaurants, Richmond Church, which is where we're located at 120 Church Street. Currently, it is Goodhandy's, and we're going to be officially changing the name of the club, closing, reopening, and we'll have renovations and all sorts of new things going on because we're bringing in a big Saturday night dance night. It's going to start September 1st is the grand opening, and every Saturday night we're going to have big dance club nights. And we're keeping the name Goodhandy's for our events. So all of our TIGO-related events, Monday to Thursday, that take place at Club 120 will still be referred to as Goodhandy's events. So we don't want you to think that Goodhandy's nightclub is closing because it is not. We are just reinventing himself, unlike me. I like to reinvent myself, don't I, Todd?
Oh, yes. Is that what we call it?
Yeah, we'll call it reinventing because I'm in denial. You know,
it's a good plug for your doctor right now.
Yeah, well, let's not start. Okay, so the situation is with trans women. We have to come up with something. So that's my thing. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. So we wanted to touch on it tonight, how we started on the internet and how we ended at this point that we are at the internet, opening up a big dating site for, we call people on the fringe, because we didn't want to just limit it to, just one or two or three groups of people. We wanted everybody or anybody out there who feels they're on the fringe or they want to meet people who are different and they want a little bit of fun and excitement or whatever the reason. Our site is very adult-oriented as well, but it doesn't have to be. But we do have adults, and we're very welcoming to the adults, and we're very welcoming to trans people and people from every segment of the community. And one of the reasons that started off was because of the fact that dating sites or network sites such as Facebook, they refuse to even acknowledge that there's more than just male and female out there.
Still, to this day.
Still, yes, to this very day. But
Google Plus, I don't know if you know, I had to sign up for a Google account the other day because I was doing something with YouTube, and you have to sign up, blah, blah, blah. It says male, female, or I believe it says or other.
Oh.
It actually has a choice.
Oh, so we're other now.
I think it says other.
I guess we're something, but
at least it's acknowledging that it's not binary.
Yeah, well, I guess it's moving along slowly, but at least some people are just, you're right. There's an acknowledgement. I shouldn't really complain. I would like to, but I really shouldn't. But I do want to complain about Facebook, the fact that they just refuse to even acknowledge. Mark, hello, you out there? There are trans people, in the world. There are intersex people. There are, all sorts of people out there that don't identify just as male and female. And you know what? Actually would be helpful if they recognized that as well on sites like Facebook, so there's no embarrassment. And there is a lot of that sort of a situation where we're put in uncomfortable positions. Where someone, for example, I don't usually respond to people I don't know on Facebook unless I know who they are, but you get the occasional message. So you get a message from somebody who drones on about how, attractive they think you are and you just look great, they love to meet you and everything else. And then, of course, that person has no clue that you are not female, whether you appear that. And all of a sudden, it's your fault, because you try and be polite and go, I need you to know that I'm not female, I'm a transsexual woman. And then all of a sudden, you're the bad person. It's just a very uncomfortable situation. But anyway, we won't get into cyber slaps right now.
No. So we were talking about the history of where Mandy started. I'm going to mention this because, one does not like to call themselves a pioneer. That would sound wrong. So I'm going to say this on behalf of the world. Mandy, in my opinion, was an internet pioneer because she is actually one of the very, very first transsexual websites back in the day when there were only about 3 or 4 in the world, and it was, on a Pentium computer and some little tiny internet service provider, and it was revolutionary. It was in the wild, wild west days of the internet, and she really used the internet in a way to. It was creating a network before there was such a phrase as social networking. Like it was back in the beginning. So.
Yeah, well, thank you, Todd, for that, for putting that so nicely too. It was with me, it was a no-brainer when it came to trying something different and something new, because I love that. That's one of the things I just love doing. And it was 1996, late 1996, going into 1997, and it was actually. The idea was brought to me because I was working the sex trade and running my ad in the newspaper, and it was actually a client who came to see me who dealt with computers, who brought it up originally and said to me, you should get on a computer, get yourself a computer. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I would never be able to figure that out, how to do this. And he said you could put an ad on there because there's actually people like worldwide, and they're all starting to get on the internet, and there is just nothing there when you're searching for escorts, especially T-girl escorts. You can't find them on there. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I got more information from him. I, picked his brains, picked his pocket, and no, I'm joking. I didn't do that. At least not while he was looking. I picked his brains, and then he basically gave me, the basics of how to go about it. And like Todd said, I contacted a local internet provider. His name was Mickey. He was a really nice monkey, and he rode a bicycle, and that's how they got their power going on the internet. I'm kidding about that too. I shouldn't really be saying things like that because some people might take that seriously and think, oh my gosh, she had a poor monkey working for her. So that's how I got on the internet, and then all I did was create a page. I was taught by them how to put a page together and design the page, and just very, very simple, put a picture of myself up and my phone number, And that was it. And I could not believe when the phone was ringing, and not only was the phone ringing, I was getting these emails from people. And I thought, wow. And Todd, this was back in the day with the people who actually were on the Internet that were phoning you for an ad or emailing you were actually serious.
Well, yeah, and this was before Google and before there were search engines, but it was somewhat primitive because I met you within a year of when you started that, and so I was heavily into the Internet, and we ended up teaching each other things and learning each other things. But even when I started a year later, it was still pretty primitive, like just having it's hard to imagine. So just throwing up a page on the Internet, and all of a sudden you get phone calls. Like now you'd have to really put it on a established website.
But also the thing is, there's a lot of jokers out there now. But what I'm saying is, back then it was a kind of, all those guys were serious. There were actually guys with jobs who actually seriously were looking and searching to meet a trans woman. And back then, I used the term she-male. I still don't apologize for that, by the way. But I'm not speaking for all trans women out there. But the term she-male doesn't offend me. Okay, but I do understand why it may offend others, and I'm okay with that too. But the term she-male was a term known for people who were sex workers and people in the porn industry. It was just the way it was. And if you didn't use the term she-male, no one knew how to find you. So my whole first thing at the beginning was all about she-male. And then when I started looking at all of this, I found a couple of sites. I don't know if you remember them. I think you do. You probably remember the original sites, some of the big ones on there at the time.
Lita May or something.
Yeah, there was Lita May. And
she was fascinating.
Oh, yeah, she was really, really interesting.
Trans woman in some southern state. It was kind of rural, I think. And it was, she had a lover, and it was a reality. She had photos of herself and her lover in sexual situations and a little diary, and she was awesome.
Oh, she was great. She was right ahead of her time and just spoke her mind. Interesting person. And then there was She-Male Central.
And is that the same as She-Male Yum, or is that a separate company?
No, there was two different ones. The She-Male Central was more of an information type of site that dabbled very, very little, actually, believe it or not, in the porn end of it.
Okay.
It was like a portal where you could meet the other trans women that were starting to pop up with websites, and you ended up on a banner farm, basically. So, yeah, I got my site listed on there, and I emailed back and forth to this guy, and we got to know each other a little bit when it came to picking his brains as well and such. And then there was Steve from now is She-Male Yum. Groovy Productions. Groovy Productions,
yeah,
I think.
Productions, massive company.
Yeah, and Steve was around way back then. There was him, and there was another fellow from Ireland or England, I can't remember. But Steve ended up buying up his website, so there was another big website out there. But, yeah, Steve's still going. Great for him, eh? So, anyway, that was about it back then. There was maybe a couple more and if I'm forgetting, I'm sorry, and I apologize, but there was only a couple more out there at the time, and so I got my ideas from that, kind of going, I can be more than just one page, escorting. So I built this little site, and I decided I would try and make a little bit of membership money from it, and I put together pictures of myself and, naked and, doing that kind of thing.
Rising.
Yes, yeah, doing my dishes, with my little apron with no clothes on underneath. No. So
back then it was just photos. It was very, this is an interesting topic for geeky people like me. Photos, and it was just photos, and it was that's exactly how I met Mandy. Is that she was looking for a male model, and I posed with
my dungeon.
With a leash. They had the dungeon, which is basically just like your kitchen in the basement with beige walls. And
but I meant on the Internet. They don't need to know where it really was, but on the Internet it was in the She-Male Palace. It was part of the palace. It was the palace dungeon.
Yes, because it even took me a while to wrap my head around that. I was like, there are different rooms. It's a palace.
Yes, it was a palace.
What the hell why are you calling it a palace? Anyways, But yeah, so no, and then we just started talking after the shoot, and then I was like, oh, I'm into photography a little bit, into internet stuff too. So I just started being the photographer, going from tranny house to
Well, before you get into that, we have to explain how I moved into that phase. Also, it's the site was all about me.
There's just pictures of you.
Just me, and then I realized I need more trans women on this website, and so how can I figure out a way to be able to get that with minimum amount of money, but offering them something they might be able to use in return for me being able to use their pictures. So
right.
The thing that I tried to go through, the reason I wanted to backtrack there, Todd, is I want to talk about how much of a struggle that was, where I was actually trying to contact girls through their ads in the newspaper, so you can imagine the responses I was getting. And I was trying to explain to them about the Internet. And I was going, you need to get on here. And
there's this Internet thing, you know.
Yeah. And it was like, it's the Internet. And I'm trying to explain it to them. But in their minds, all they're thinking, oh, some trannies out there trying to get naked pictures of me. What the hell is that about? And, of course, it was quite the struggle. But a couple of them ended up coming on board, right, Todd? And then when we got to that point, obviously, I wasn't going to go over and take their pictures. They were already feeling uncomfortable enough with me even contacting them, and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to think I'm some lesbian just trying to hit on them. And it's the distrust out there. It's just the way, in fact, I don't think that's changed much to this day, just to be honest with you, the distrust that people have. But so we got Todd coming along, who's this nice, gay man who's not going to be there to do anything sexual with them, and he gets along with people so well. And so it was perfect that he would go over and take their pictures. And the exchange for their pictures, I built them each a page for their escorting. And so this is how it turned out. And, of course, once the girls started learning, oh, my God, I'm making all this money because she's running my page on the Internet.
They're all trying to hide that information from each other.
Oh, yeah, they didn't want to tell each other, no.
Because it's like, oh, my gosh, this is legit, this Internet thing.
Yeah, don't tell anybody, just keep it between us. And it's like, well, I'm trying to get more and more girls involved here. And it's not because of anything, me saying, oh, I want to help you all. That's not it. I want us to help each other. And that's what I was trying to reach out there to them and going, you can get this out of it and I can get this out of it. And then we're all happy.
The barter system is one of the early, one of Mandy's business models that I've learned from as somebody who learned a lot from. She had more business experience than me, and the barter system works quite well with Internet-based things.
Well, back in the day, my dear sex workers, chicken for a blowjob. You would get a live chicken, and then there was the day of the wars, when you would get, the girls would get silk stockings and chocolate bars in exchange for sexual services. It's been around for generations and centuries. Yeah. So it's no different nowadays. So that was bartering. You're right, Todd.
Mm-hmm. And it was fair, too. It was totally fair. Because it's not like you're making $1 million off the website. No. You had a lot of costs associated with it.
Yes, I had to explain to them that, too, because it's like, okay, if I've got 20 girls on my website and I'm making this much money, divide that amongst 20, and that's how much I'm making off your ass. Yeah. Which is not really as much as you think it does, considering the overhead I had. And so they don't always figure that part of it out, which is interesting. But meanwhile, they were walking away with a shitload of money, and good for them. I was thrilled for it. But then, of course, other things popped up, which was good. The girls started learning how to do their own websites, which was good, and doing their own thing. And obviously, then the video companies popped up with the models online that were making money, and then video came into play online. Because you couldn't afford to have video online because of the bandwidth back then.
Oh my God! And to update a gallery, I believe I used the film camera, and then we would split the photos up because we'd each have a scanner, and she'd scan half of them and I'd scan half of them because it took like 5 minutes to scan like 2 photos, and then we'd have to crop them in Photoshop. And it was a very time consuming procedure making photo gallery-based websites way back.
Oh yeah, it wasn't quick. They didn't have programs.
Way back,
yeah.
Like 1997, 98.
Yeah.
But it's a.
And the quality of the photos was terrible because you either had to take a picture with the camera and scan it, and the scanners were not up to par, or you had these new digital cameras that were coming up with, which was like you could probably.
Horrible.
Oh yeah, you could probably get that same monkey that was running the internet. You could probably get him to draw something better with a crayon.
Yeah, you'd have a floppy disk and a camera.
Yeah.
12 photos would fit on it.
It was terrible. And then, of course, you get your members, and they're kind of going, well, these pictures aren't very good. And it's like, and I don't blame them. It's like, well, we're doing the best we can.
And I always, because we always respect agreements and contracts and whatever, the photos from that era will never be seen.
No, they're gone.
Because they're gone. But we have them, but they're just, I've looked at them once in a while, and I've been like, wow, this would be such a good art show, but we can't ever do that because that wasn't the deal. They're not released forever for everything. But they were in retrospect, quite interesting. You know, connoisseurs of transsexuals would find them quite interesting. They're quite even artistic because these are photos of real transsexuals in the early days of technology in their apartments, getting comfortable in front of the camera for the first time. And
no, exactly. Look, amateur.
Now a young transsexual sex worker would just be, of course I'll get on a webcam, I'll do shows, I'll promote myself, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll go on Facebook. That's just second nature. But back then that was new.
There, I'd like to do dedicate a whole show, and I've said this to you, Todd, before, about actual trans sex workers out there and how a lot of the times they don't know how to work as business people. And I'm not criticizing, I'm just pointing it out because maybe I can give a couple of pointers out there on what marketing really is. A lot of them confuse marketing with spamming. And they think that it's to keep posting something over and over and over again in capitals that it's getting them known, and it's not. It's the opposite. It's like you're yelling at someone. I don't know if people out there understand this. Capital letters is yelling at someone. So it's almost like you're standing, girls, it's almost like you're standing on your rooftop screaming out to Toronto and going, I'm here, and I'm the best escort in the whole city, bar none. And like, okay, we get that you feel that way, and it's good because you have confidence, and confidence is a good thing. But there is no such thing as the best anything anywhere. You may be one of the best, but you are never the best, because there's always going to be somebody else there that somebody else might prefer. And I always find that fascinating, and I'd love to do a whole show on that because I think it's interesting. It's something that I've seen all the way along through my career. I've seen different girls, and there are different types of marketing. There are different types of networking, and it's interesting.
Maybe interesting and maybe a bit controversial to have that discussion, even the one that we've had before, where we're observing American girls versus Canadian girls. This is something I always have noticed when we started meeting American girls. I was like, and trust me, I'm not some pro-American person. My mother was born there, and it frightens me, that country. But the American girls know how to market. They know how to. They seem like 5 years ahead of what goes on here. They travel like the American. I'm specifically talking about sex workers. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about trans people in general. I'm talking about trans sex workers and how they market and how they travel. And
it's also the appreciation. And when the American ladies come or ladies from Europe ever come to our club, they appreciate it and really enjoy it. And the toughest part we have is getting the locals to really support it. And it's quite interesting because, it's something they don't seem to realize. There is hardly anywhere else in the world that this is being presented. And I always find that fascinating, but we can get into that some other time as well when it comes to that, because you're right, it is controversial. And I'd love to be able to have a couple of the ladies on to give their opinion on it, and talk about this and seeing. Just discussing it might help us grow a little bit. All of us grow a little bit. Maybe it will help me understand why they do what they're doing and the way why they present themselves and why they're using that type of advertising. Is it working for them? Is it not? So it's quite fascinating because I come from I'm going to have to say I come from a different era because I do. You know, the area I came from when we were escorting, there was hardly any T-girls in the newspaper. And there was virtually none on the Internet when I first started escorting.
So there's so much more competition. It's now, right? There's so much more competition.
It's insane. But what happens now is that the girls who used to pretend they looked good in the newspaper when you would phone, and they would pretend they were beautiful. It was amazing the number of T-girls out there that had 40 double Ds and 55-inch penises.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It's like, and I'm reading this going, I just saw you the other day, and anything like that. And it's like, okay. But then when the newspaper started running pictures, I was also one of the first ones then, too, where I actually ran a picture in my ad. The customers got to see you. And that, all the ones that were hiding in the darkness, it was tough for them at that point because it's like, okay, well, where's your photo? Oh, I don't have a photo, and it's like, okay, well, how can I believe you look like this? And so now, when the ladies can actually go on a cam and the guys can come to a club and see them in person, you can't fool them anymore, but that's going to get into, and again, that's a whole subject on its own.
Yeah, okay, so now we have a topic for
down the line, but, variety is good, too. So anyway, to continue on with the Internet situation, the only reason I'm doing a lot of talking for this show and Todd is doing minimum is because I don't want him to, because he's not feeling well. So I just want to mention that to people. I'm not trying to, take over the whole conversation. But when we moved into the Internet, and then, of course, it became a pay set, like I was saying, and then I moved on from that. And what we decided was it was because of the era of Facebook. I don't think I've ever been as angry on the Internet, and I've been angry many times when I came to log on to Facebook and saw they only had the two genders, and then I actually wrote as if I was going to get a response. And what I wrote, and I said, this is just, what century we're in. But I also, there's another thing coming back to it, and I'm not slamming Americans because I love a lot of Americans, and I love what they stand for. But it seems to be the American mindset more than the Canadian, believe it or not, where the companies down there are harder to deal with when it comes to the gender situation because...
Well, all those Christians, sorry.
Well, yeah, no, I know what you mean. And you know that I've dealt with companies over the Internet for years and years and years, and whenever I'm talking to them on the phone, they'd look up my website and see, and I would hear giggles.
Yeah. I
really would. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, are you having fun at my expense? It's like, I'm helping you make money here. You're a company I'm dealing with, and I'm...
Oh, yeah, because a lot of times we had to deal with American companies because they were ahead or more affordable or ahead of the curve in technology. Well, still to this day we're dealing with American companies.
Oh, darling, Canada's way behind.
Yeah.
Way behind. I don't think they even have... I think they just got a Canadian thing to CC bill.
Oh, okay.
Billing services. You could not find a billing service in Canada.
Yeah. Canada's the best. So that's for so many other reasons, but yeah, they're all mashed up when it comes to internet billing and adult websites and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Banks
don't want to deal with it. It's just the way it is. So.
Oh no, I was treated really badly when I had a business account through the internet. It was an internet-based business, and I went to TD to open an account, and they put me through the ringer. Because my business was through the Internet, with Internet money coming through, and meanwhile I'm getting these checks from the U.S., and it's kind of like they have to be put on hold for a really long time, and I had to prove myself for a really long time, and they were going to continue to make me do so until I actually created a scene. It's like, and I don't like to create scenes. I really don't. People might think I do because, I'm one of those type of people. It's like, oh, well, she's, this, that, and the other thing. But the thing is, I don't. I'm really quite gentle out in public, and I try not to hurt, kittens and stuff. But, when it comes to educating people, if they don't listen and they don't want to hear it nicely, then I have to kind of lean over and say something. And that's what ended up having to happen at the bank. It was like I said, okay, I'm not taking this anymore. You either start putting freezes on my account because I'm already proving that I'm bringing money into my account, my account's in good standing, or I will have to take it to another bank. And only until that happened that they actually did something about it. But it all ties in. The internet it wasn't looked at or respected because a lot of people still thought it was going to disappear. You know, a lot of big Canadian companies weren't even on the internet. I didn't see hardly any of them on the internet. I wasn't doing internet banking then.
And so we're trying to do sort of a chronology in a linear sort of way about our history on the internet. So I'm gonna try to remember where I think at the next point you kept Shemale Palace going. You got a bit more into video with it, and then you and I were doing our own like webcam thing.
And one of the reasons I switched to, I was going to mention about Lady Plus because a lot of people would know of Lady Plus already because it's still around. But the reason it became Lady Plus was because they wouldn't let me advertise Shemale Palace in the newspaper.
But you had to think up of a euphemism for trans.
Yes, we couldn't. They wouldn't do transsexual. They wouldn't do shemale. They wouldn't do anything in the newspaper if I was running my URL for my website, and I wanted that on my ad, and I wanted to advertise. So I had to change it to something that would be acceptable for them. This is the newspapers, okay? And now they've come a long way, haven't they? But anyway, now they've learned they can make money off of us. They've come a long way. But anyway, so the situation is I had to change it, and so I came up with something that I thought was lovely, and that was Lady Plus. So this lady she's a lady, but she has something plus. Not thinking about overweight ladies.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking of a lady that was something extra. So that was the only way I could do it. So that's how Lady Plus started, and Lady Plus was the sister site to Shemale Palace, but it was never a pay site. It was always where the ladies would be advertising their escorting.
Yeah.
And they all moved over to Lady Plus, and it was like each one of them had a page. So that when they ran their ad, it was ladyplus.com / the girl's name.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, go ahead, Todd. You were saying.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So we kind of, we're not good at remembering the exact times. There's a lot of overlapping of things, but at some point we were doing webcam stuff from home for like iFriends and stuff, and then at some point, you know, I think she was still doing her website. I was never part of her website. I was just helping out and being a photographer. That was her own business. But we also were technical support for each other. We because the only way you learn stuff, you know, you read manuals, you test things out, you ask friends. We were on the phone like 6 hours a day, learning how to build pages. But then the one interesting period, we had one little internet period where I thought was really fascinating, and it seemed very risky at the time, and I got to run it, and I made sure nobody got ripped off. And we got this studio, this kind of giant studio, which was a former wrestling studio for adult videos, porno wrestling, which Mandy used to be a cinematographer for, if you use that word in porn. A videographer.
Videographer.
but we got to take over that studio because we knew we got that lease. We took over the studio, and we had the studio, and I was living there, and I had a dungeon there, and I was doing this, and we're doing that, and we're shooting our videos. We started shooting our own videos, but then we had the opportunity for this giant mega webcam company in Amsterdam wanted to add for females, and it was huge, still exists, and they had they were getting into the males and the female categories, and they, through a contact of mine, knew that they were looking for somebody to take. They had some asinine sort of crazy idea where they had these boys living in a remote castle in the middle of buttfuck France, and it was called like Castle Boys, and it sounded good and serious, like a reality show. But they had the technology for the time. It was amazing. It was all like top of the line, everything. But they were having a hard time getting boys to move to the middle of buttfuck France, and they weren't, and it was commission only, and there wasn't enough traffic for the boys yet, and so it was a disaster. So this guy who I knew, he was like, please, we're going to pack up everything from this castle, we're going to put it in boxes, and we're going to send it to you, and you're going to start a studio in Toronto because we hear you can do that. And then we negotiated the details, and I was like, we're not doing commissions because you don't have the traffic. I'm not bringing in people, having them work here and not get paid. You know, they have to be paid per hour. And we were running 24 hours a day with 2 studios, 6 spy cams, a welcome desk where we'd have, like, if somebody was, like, a hot boy but he wasn't comfortable enough taking his clothes off entirely, he would be, like, the secretary, and he would just greet people. And this was all in my place. I just started sleeping on my office floor in the one area of the place that was locked.
With your cat.
With my cat. And then I had all these people at my place 24 hours a day, females and men. And we marched in the parade, and we, like, tied it in with the lounge. Like, it was a fun little, I don't know how long it was. It wasn't that long. It was only like 5 or 6 months, and then they realized, holy shit, this is really expensive. But I would say that I brought in, I don't know, it was like $100,000 worth of income for Toronto sex workers during that period, and I fought and make sure that they all got paid for everything, because people could get ripped off with that kind of stuff. They really kept wanting to move to a commission-based thing, and I just said, you don't have the traffic. If you do commission, I'm having these people sitting there doing nothing, waiting for customers to show up, and you're going to lose all the models. If you want to build it, you have to put some money out while you're building it.
Well, this is one of the things when you are an escort yourself and you are in the adult industry, you know how you want to be treated, and you want to make sure that people that are working with you, they never work for us per se, are getting the same treatment. And so we've always been able to deal well with that, even though there's a lot of broken toys out there. You still have to, deal with them fairly. So, actually, the same time that you were doing the studio, I was only kind of like in the background for that, just talking back and forth with Todd, giving advice when needed and doing limited amount of actual running. And Todd was running that whole thing himself. He's got all this energy and know-how that way. I can't do all that technical climbing around on rafters and stuff, but I was running the lounge at the same time, which is, a lot of the people out there would remember the lounge in Mississauga, because that was also groundbreaking. Todd was bringing T-girl strippers to a nightclub in Mississauga.
Yeah, and some straight kind of divey to be.
Yeah, it was a straight club. And I phoned around, and I'm telling you, I was adamant that I was going to have T-girl strippers somewhere, because you know what, we there's a lot of beautiful T-girls out there, and I thought, there's got to be something. No one's doing it. And so I phoned every club in Toronto and got they turned their back. Every club. And so I thought, well, let's try outside of Toronto. And I got a hold of these people at Diamonds. We love them. We really do. We really.
This is something people should know. Diamonds is this. I guess I say it lovingly when I say it's skeezy, because it's a style of strip club. It's not an upper scale fancy strip club. It's just they've got some pretty girls there, but like all strip clubs have pretty girls. But it's like an airport area, kind of run down, old building. It's been around forever. But they treated Mandy with so much respect, just like a human being, like she is. They didn't balk at the whole she-male thing. They were just like, oh, wow, yeah, we've got this extra room in the basement. You want to put she-male strippers in there? Okay, cool. We get the bar, charge what you want at the door, give us some rent. And they never bothered us. They never made fun of us. Their security was respectful. We just did our own thing in the basement. And I thought, even at the time, that's kind of even risky for you guys, because it's still, maybe people will start associating your club with queers, and that might fuck your business up. So, I don't know, I just want to say Diamonds.
And it didn't. That was so interesting about it. A lot of people caught on, and they didn't care. And some of the guys that would hang out upstairs watching the girls would come down and watch the T-girls downstairs.
Oh, yeah, totally. And then their bouncers would even send them down. It was just one of those no judgment things where it's always a pleasant surprise. People are always like, oh, straight people are so judgmental. I'm like, no, not always. Sometimes. And that
was evenings during the week, and then on the weekends at the same time I had the males. I was running as the male strippers on the Saturday night. But the thing is, what happened with the T-Girl event, and a lot of people do go on. I mean, I know that people out there, they miss these events we had, but a lot of the times they run their course. It's just that simple. You can't do anything about it. And what happened in Mississauga was the fact that when Todd and I opened up Goodhandy's, we had no time to do both. We couldn't. And we had to have staff out there running it. And then what was happening was, at the time there was this message board, and people kept going on and on about how, the lounge was a dump, and how could they dare charge us money to get in, and do. And no matter how many times I explained to them The only reason there is a big cover charge is because we're not making money at the bar. And I kept saying it over and over and over again. And then people kept going on about how you should renovate it. It's horrible. The bathrooms are terrible. And I'm thinking, why would we want to put our money into someone else's nightclub?
Yeah, and it was we knew it was horrible. Like there,
of course,
I tried to bring in cleaning supplies, and they would get I don't want to say stolen, but they would get absconded by the Diamond people because their cleaning supplies wouldn't work. And I'd be like, oh God, it's just a disaster. So, you know, I mean, and I always admired how you charged a high cover charge, and so the girls got it too because they were like, you know what? We're trying to make money here. We're charging $20 a song. The song is 3 minutes long. There's no secrets going on here. We're not here to be your girlfriends. It's a strip club. If the guy can't pay $25 to get in the door, then, you know, he's not going to pay $20 a song to have private dances. So it's just...
That was the thing. Again, we were working with the girls for everybody to try and make money. But like I said, it started running its course. And what happened was that we couldn't get new girls. The girls would not tell other girls about this little gold mine that was going on. And so, of course, we weren't getting new people. And then what was happening is there was a lot of wonderful guys, so don't get me wrong, the T-girl admirers out there. There is so many supportive, wonderful, wonderful T-girl admirers out there. But unfortunately, there's a handful of them out there that are not wonderful. All they ever do is complain. And those complainers just, you know, make Todd and I kind of go, you know what, we can't do this anymore. You know, and it's unfortunate it has to be that way. But it ran its course, and we tried to move it downtown to Toronto. But the problem is, Todd, as you know, we can't call it strippers.
Yeah.
So, because we don't have an adult entertainment license. We have a sex club membership club. Okay? It's not an adult entertainment parlor, so we can't officially advertise strippers. So we have go-go girls. Okay, because go-go girls are fine in the bylaw of where we're situated. And so that's what they are. They're go-go girls. We're not even trying to pretend they're strippers. But the thing is, gentlemen, it's the same thing, the same theory. You come in on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you basically have the kind of an atmosphere that would be like walking into a strip club. So, well, I want to get into that and another topic as well, Todd, is about some of the things that people bring up at the bar and the questions they ask. And you know why? And they're allowed to, and I think it's wonderful. It's just their timing is bad. You know, when I'm working behind the bar and they come up and ask me something, and I try so hard to be patient because I got to understand that they don't understand it because they're not in our business. But it almost seems like I'm repeating myself over and over and over again of why isn't this busier? And it's like, oh, my God. It's like it's a Monday night downtown Toronto in a T-girl club. How busy do you think it's going to be?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, there is not going to be 50 T-girls coming in here and jerking off on your face. And that's what they're thinking. And so I have to kind of lean forward and go, darling, how many T-girls do you need? And then they ultimately answer the right question, so I answer it properly, and they go, 1. And I'm going, you're here, and there's 6 girls sitting over there. You know, it's like, so I guess it's busy. Or were you looking for men? And, of course, right away they go, no, I'm not looking for men. Then why are you asking why it's not busy? So it's not about busy. It's about this is a niche. It's a niche. No one else has this. I don't care. Any other club in Toronto want to say they have T-girls. They don't. I'm sorry. They might have T-girls visiting their club, but they don't, in actual fact, have a T-girl event going on. They don't.
Yeah, and nobody really even says they do either. So.
Well, there's pretending out there.
Well, you know, I guess there's some social nights, right?
Yeah, there's been nights that have popped up and making it look like that's what it is. It's not. You know, and they're just filling themselves. But anyway, that's besides the point. So we're hoping whatever, you know, that you come in and you enjoy for what you have, and I hope you have fun with it. It's like that's why we're presenting it for you.
Okay, so now we have another topic. So now we have 2 more weeks worth.
There you go. So, and then what happened was we ended up, part of the reason was anger out of Facebook, to get back to what I was saying, and so we decided, you know, I said to Tar, we need to open up a dating site. We need a dating site for the people on the fringe, the people who people don't want to recognize. And we really need this. And basically, the substance of it was not just for T-girls and admirers, and it was for everybody and anybody out there that wants to join the site and basically communicate with each other or just enjoy the site for what it is. But then I realized as we were doing it, programs don't work nicely together. It's like putting 3 bratty kids in a sandbox. And what happens is ultimately what we started doing was we purchased the dating site program itself. And those people are located in Australia. So every type of help we needed, we had to wait for certain hours before we can communicate. And, of course, what happens with these type of sites is you pay extra for this, you pay extra for that, and if you want ongoing support, you have to pay extra. And, of course, when you first open up a site, it's all about support because you don't really know what you're doing. So it was almost like seeing a bad hooker, who kept charging for extras, and you go in there and you're thinking, oh, God, look at this is what I'm getting. And then, of course, oh, no, it's extra to touch here, and it's extra to suck this, and it's extra. So the thing is, this is what it was like. And then, of course, when we're trying to put the hosting company, remember this, Todd? So we've got a hosting company. Where are they? They're in the States, right?
Yeah, they're in the States.
Okay, our hosting company's in the States, and then we've got our program for our dating services in Australia, and then they're pretending...
the webcam's in Romania.
Yes, but we haven't gotten to that yet. Okay, this is before we even get into that nightmare. But anyway, so you got these two pretending to work together, but then blaming each other. And do you remember all that? It was just a mess. And it's like, no, it must be their fault. No, it must be their fault. But meanwhile, we have to put things off because we couldn't get a hold of the other company till the next day. And then when that one said it was the U.S., we have to wait another day. And it was just going back and forth, and we were just trying to fix a few minor glitches.
Yep.
So anyway, this is what ended up happening. Then we thought, and I said to Todd, we can't have all our websites on one server because every time Lady Plus Network, which is what it was called originally, went down, all of our websites went down.
Yeah.
So we finally moved it to its own designated server, and the hosting company finally, everything started gelling with the two, and then along came the third naughty child, which was the chat. Now, there was a chat that came with the dating service software, but every time someone would log into the chat room, and as soon as they clicked on allow or disallow the cam, we got charged, boom, money for it. And how much did we ran up like this huge bill.
Yeah.
And then we thought, we can't afford this particular chat, but that was the chat that was made for this dating service, and so it was like you either got that chat or you had nothing but some, little page that went up and down. And so we decided we had to go with another chat and try and fit it into this dating site. And they said they worked well together. Remember? That was the one that ran along the bottom, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they located? That
one? Oh, I don't even fucking know.
Oh, it's somewhere. But anyway, so then we had the problem trying to get those two to work together, even though they said they did. And then we're trying to get features activated that said they had, but they don't. And then every time they come in to fix it, it's like you're getting more problems. And so there was this ongoing thing over and over and over and over again. And now we finally have the AV chat, which is the video chat. And they're in Romania. Okay. Yes. And so what's happening is we're trying to make that work with the Australians. So I don't know if normally Romania and Australia get together and get along, but I have no idea. But all I'm saying is that you have all of this trying to work together. And if people are just coming in to use the site, we understand that they don't know what's going on. All of a sudden something's messed up and something's confused and then we get letters, and men are sending us letters, and going, oh, these people are complaining. And it's like, it's just fascinating. But then we added all of the categories, which was good. We got all these categories, as many categories as possible to please as many of the people on the fringe as possible. Okay, we included the intersex, of course, and the gender queer, and we included the bisexual female, bisexual male, bisexual, And then we find people don't know what some of the categories are. So we had people marking themselves off as, for example, intersex, thinking the intersex said into sex.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. It's like, because I wrote to somebody near the beginning, I said, are you sure that you're intersex? Because I thought, I don't want to put someone in an uncomfortable position, and I don't want them to think they have to whip out their genitalia, but it's like I'm kind of thinking, I know you're not.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have a nude photo on your profile that is not showing anything like that. So I basically got in touch, and they wrote me back and said, no, I'm intersex. And I said, no, honey, and I had to explain what intersex was, because otherwise people would get confused. So, but then, and we're going to cover all those categories too in another show. We're going to talk about all of those and break them all down and have people maybe, educate us as well along the way. And then I got to bring this up because it was the most interesting one I ever got, where somebody asked me why their category was missing. I felt like it was me talking to Facebook. And what is your category, darling? I'm a fairy queen. Do you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely. But that's what, as soon as you started doing the categories, we really tried. This is a software issue. We really tried, because I said right from the get-go, I go, how are we going to really pull this one off? There are so many. That's why I know the category other might be offensive to some people, but what would be better is a blank space. But when you're dealing with websites and stuff like that, people want to be able to do searches, and then you're going to get 10 different spellings of transsexual and this and that. So, yeah. And
also the problem would be, this being a dating site, people want to date what they're into.
Yeah, so we had to try to come up with categories.
We're doing our best. Let's just put it that way. We're doing our best, but there's not going to be a fairy queen.
You should draw your line somewhere, I guess.
Well, you have to. I mean, I'm sorry, this is not the Disney Channel. It's not, and people with magic wands, I mean, I think it's very wonderful and, welcome to the world, but we can't have a category just for you. If you can at least, bring up 2, 3, 4, or 5 more of you, then maybe we can discuss it. But I just thought that was just a little surprising. And I'm very open-minded, so I wasn't, upset, and I didn't think, oh, my God, how dare you, and I didn't judge, But I just thought it was kind of, where are we going to draw the line? Where does anybody draw the line? Is there a line to draw at all? Should we just open it up and everybody and anybody, whatever category you feel you want to be? I thought we covered that with genderqueer, but we probably didn't. But anyway, so the site it's pretty good now. It's like we've got things working. It's doing well, and we started charging VIP memberships, very, very cheap. It's like next to nothing. Only because in order to keep the site going, we need to be able to pay for all of the overhead that's happening with the hosting company and with the fact that we're always having to get support, and you have to pay for support. So we have small memberships put into place. But you don't need to be a member to have a lot of the features that are on the site. So a paying member. So if you wish to sign on as a free user, please come on and check the site out, and see if you enjoy it. It's not for everybody, but it may be something that you might find curious, interesting. You might enjoy it. You might enjoy coming to the chat room and having fun in there. Or if you do decide that you really like it and you want more features, then you can just get yourself a membership. And it's worldonthefringe.com or ladyplusnetwork.com or ladyplus.com. So we're keeping them all aimed to the one place. Do you have anything to add to that one, Todd?
No, I missed the intro of this, so I didn't know how you started talking about World on the Fringe, but I had to do a little renovation thing. So.
Oh, yeah, Todd is helping with the renovations. We have the club, like I said, there's going to be another grand opening on the 1st of September, and we're doing a lot of upgrades to the site. We've actually, to the site, we're doing a lot of renovations and upgrades to Goodhandy's club, which is going to be Club 21.
Club 120.
Club... whatever. 120. Pronounce it any way you want. Okay, but it's Club 120. It's pretty bad when my business partner is correcting me on the name of our club. But anyway, so the grand opening. But we've been renovating for, how long have we been renovating as we went along?
2 years.
We've been changing things around. I mean, I don't know how we managed to do it, but we do have this wonderful handyman, Mason, my darling. We've got to send out kudos to Mason because we love Mason. He's done a lot of the renovations in the club, moving bars around and rebuilding bars and just fixing things up and trying to get it up to, a certain level. And this is going to be the biggest reno we've done when it comes to an overhaul.
Yeah, this is sort of like the final, like the fancy touches that we never really did, right? Like the painting and like the proper painting and finishing and a lot of lighting related
yeah,
things.
The lighting. Oh, and I'm going to mention before we get off, we want to talk about mooching money. Okay, so, well, we do. We're going to be putting up this link eventually on the internet. And, Todd and I we're not pretentious. We've never even pretended to be pretentious. It's like we're very, how is it you put it, Todd?
Ghetto.
Yes. We're very ghetto. And it's like we don't make apologies for that. We're doing our best. But the thing is, we're going to be putting a link on if anybody wants, because we have tons of people, especially T-Girl admirers out there, which is God bless them, but a lot of them come up and go, if you ever need help, if you ever need money, let us know. And we've never thought about doing it this way, but in order, we want to really, really stay open, and we particularly want to stay open with our T-Girl events Monday to Thursday. So we're going to put a thing up there where you can actually send money if you wish, and help us out and support, and so we can keep doing ongoing things.
We're going to be panhandling, essentially.
Yes, we'll be panhandling. And I was saying to Todd, actually, at one point, I said, sometimes there's panhandlers in front of our club. Maybe I should just go there and join them and, stand out with the rest of them. Hello, you got anything? So anyway, we're going to be doing something like that. So if anybody wants to contribute, we'd certainly appreciate that. But like I said, it's not necessary. We want you to come and enjoy our venue. Okay, it's important that you do, and please enjoy theworldonthefringe.com if you decide to get a profile going on there. And I want Todd to be able to get freed up now to continue with his renovation over there at the club.
I have to mop, that's all.
You're mopping?
I need to do a little mopping, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I can help you. I can get my broom out of the closet here and fly over there. How's that?
That would be lovely.
But yes, it would be. Okay, so we can close out. We can close this off early, right, Todd?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so good night, everybody, and thank you for listening. And for those that are listening as an archive, we hope you enjoyed it, and hope you will tune in sometime again soon. We're here every Monday night from 7:00 p.m. for 1 hour Eastern Central Time. Talk to you soon.
Are you clicking the button?
You're the producer.
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, hang on. Let me go to the...
But we are ghetto. I wasn't lying.
Yeah,
okay, what do I push?
I got to go to the interface.
Oh.
It's a big red button. It says
end episode.
Okay, bye, everyone.